Dormouse03.
And I'm Iron Praetorian.
And this is the first ramblings of mad people in 2 years. More than 2 years.
More than 2 years. The last one was March 2018.
Which is crazy. But we're both still here, and we are both still
as mad
rambling.
As ever.
As mad as ever, and as rambling as ever. As evidenced by this introduction.
Yes.
So, we thought about what to talk about, and in the past we've talked kind of about the games that we've been playing, and, whether or not we liked them or didn't, and what we liked or disliked, and that kind of thing. But there's been way too many things over the past 2 years for us to really talk about, and so we decided that what might be more interesting to talk about is just our outlook on gaming in general right now. We've been achievement hunting, both of us, for 10 or more years at this point. And we've had some shifts and changes in perspective and enjoyment over the past few years. And we thought that might be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and the fact that we've played at least 100 games each kind of makes that impossible to talk about in any kind of time frame that's worth listening to.
Yes. So yeah. So achievement hunting.
It's been at it a long time.
Yeah. For me, I think I really started, obviously I've been gaming for longer than this, but I started actively achievement hunting, I believe, toward the latter half of 2009. And that was when I started, and I remember the first few things that I started to clean up included the first Assassin's Creed and the first Dead Space game. And those were among my first games, and Silent Hill Homecoming, actually. So those I remember as being the first kind of 3 games that I actively went back to and said, I want to try to get 100% in these games. And so, yeah, I do believe that was in 2009 at some point.
Yeah, and the gamer tag I use now, Iron Praetorian, I created that at the beginning of September 2010, but I'd already started achievement hunting on my original tag. I don't know precisely whether it was end of 2009 or early 2010, but yeah, I started, I think it was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Assassin's Creed 1. I think were my first 3 that I 100%ed on my new tag. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact that Assassin's Creed 3 was one of the early ones because that was the game that I was playing when my first Xbox died, and I had to send it off to get repaired in November of 2010.
Oh boy.
So I was like, yeah, that one just sticks in the memory.
Mm-hmm. So having done this for a solid 10 years, at least, how has it changed for you, do you think?
I mean, early on, I didn't have online, so my idea of completing a game was I'd get all of the offline achievements. And so I never envisioned that I'd have online capable Xbox because I think it was before the time that there were wireless ones, or I couldn't afford a wireless one, so I had to plug it in through the Ethernet cable. Mm-hmm. And I had my Xbox in my room, which made it difficult to get the internet. So really all I do is buy story DLC for the games that I owned, download it on a Saturday afternoon, and then play it during the week when I have my box upstairs. Because I was at uni at the time, and so I didn't have the sleep pattern that I have now. And I think at that time it was cool, and it was like a challenge, and you felt good about getting them complete. And I think at this stage, it's changed a little. where, because I've completed nearly all the games on my gamer tag, I feel like I have to complete every game that I start. Or I have to look at every game that I play and make sure there's no unobtainables, or worry that there's going to be DLC that has particularly hard achievements. I'm looking at you, Dishonored, Dumble City Trials, because that's the one that kind of alerted me to the fact of, hang on a second, I completed this game, but now I have this DLC that is way harder. And now I have to complete it to get my completion back. Whereas like PlayStation, you have a Platinum trophy for the majority of games. I know there's a few that don't. That says, hey, you completed the game. Cool, I got my Platinum, I don't need to do any bad DLCs that I don't want to buy or don't want to do. Because sometimes DLCs are super expensive as well.
Yeah. Too expensive.
Yes.
Too expensive. Sometimes the DLCs cost as much as the game. And at least for older games, they don't seem to depreciate in price in the same way that the games do. And so you end up with games that you know, are regularly $5 or $10, and the DLCs would still cost you $20 or $30.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Or you'd get the game free as games with gold, and then pay, you know, £30 for the DLCs.
Yeah. And the DLC really most DLCs are much shorter than the actual game. There are probably a handful of exceptions to that. But for the most part, when the DLC is not something like the next episodes in an episodic game, like a Telltale
where
series
your
or something.
DLCs end up being longer than the base game because there's 4 of them.
Right.
I think
because
really
I don't necessarily consider that DLC. I just consider that part of the game. But it technically is DLC.
Technically, but it like takes it up to its base 1000 G for gamer score. I think the games that I feel the DLCs kind of warrant the price. They are the things where they have expansions that are big chunks of content, like Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, Shivering Isles come to mind as things that I felt like, yeah, I think I got my money's worth out of this.
Or if it's not something that's incredibly expensive, you know, if it's $5 and it's another couple of levels or something like that, then I think that that's okay, you know, a few more hours of content. But if you're going to charge, you know, $60 for a pass for your DLC, which is, you know, as much as the game itself, or, you know, $50, which is almost as much as the game itself, it better have a lot of content or you're going to feel cheated.
Yes. I think also that runs into a factor of whether I buy a game day one is, does it have a season pass? Do I want to buy the gold edition? Which I think for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I bought the gold edition and it was £69 or £79, and the base game was £50. And so I was like, that's an extra 20 or 30 quid for content that, you know, I have to pay for to get my completion back. Do I want to buy it now, and that way I have the content when it comes out? Or do I want to wait to get a sale and then get it 50% off for the season pass? And then you also run into the problem of, because a lot of games will release later in the year, like the autumn, the fall, around Christmas, with them being more expensive than they used to be, like £50 or £60, it's working out, well, do I want to buy 2 games, or do I want to buy one game that's gold edition with the season pass? Because I can't afford, you know, to just go, yeah, I'll buy 4 games day one and pay 200 quid. So I have to work out which ones I want to play, and then sometimes I even get that wrong as to the quality of the game that I'm paying for.
Yeah. I mean, and even if, and I have this feeling, and maybe it's just because of my background and personality, but even if you can afford to buy a bunch of things day one, for me, it's the question of, well, am I going to have time to play and complete those things before they go on a pretty significant sale? And because we are completionists, you know, and we know that, like, hey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's going to take a long time to play and complete. Am I going to get around to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? And the answer is probably no.
Hence why neither of us have bought that game yet.
Right. And so, and I could be getting my years wrong. I'm not sure if those two things came out in the same year.
I think Jedi Fallen Order came out when Borderlands 3 came out.
I think it was the year after. Yeah, we bought Borderlands 3 and something else the end of last year.
Yeah.
It's escaping me what it was. But it was something that was a lot better than Borderlands 3. And so why the shitty game sticks in my mind instead of the game that I enjoyed, I don't know. But let's just take a look back at the games collection. But
that's what I'm doing now. I'm just like, what did we play?
On a similar topic, you know, getting back to what has changed with achievement hunting and whatnot. The Outer Worlds, that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
So, infinitely more enjoyable than Borderlands 3, to me.
In our opinion.
Yeah. But, that's just preference. But, getting back to, you know, achievement hunting in general, you know, one of the reasons why I originally started achievement hunting was it was a way to elongate the games that I had. You know, I didn't have nearly as many games back in 2009, 2010 as I do here in 2020. And even before that, you know, even before I actively started achievement hunting, I went for 100% completion in games. I remember 100%ing things like GTA 3 and Vice City and San Andreas on my Xbox, my original Xbox, like looking for that 100% statistic in games like that, and then in other things, you know, trying to play it on the hardest difficulty and that sort of thing. And I remember doing that, and it was this like fun challenge. You know, it's like, can I do all of these things? Can I get that 100%? Because there was no achievement for it back then. They didn't have achievements on those games. But it was more for giving me something else to do in those games that I had. And feeling like I really got my money's worth out of them. There was something else that I could do with them besides just play through the story. And when I started achievement hunting, it was kind of a similar thing. It was like, you know, my way of feeling like I had mastered the game, that I had gotten my money's worth out of that game, that I still had something to go back and do it. In some cases, it you know, inspired me or urged me to have another playthrough of a game that I hadn't played in a while. And so going back and cleaning up some of those things was really fun. You know, it was getting to play through games that I hadn't played for a bit, getting to sort of re-experience them, maybe do things that I hadn't done before. So some of the collectibles and things would lead you to like Easter eggs or sections of the game that you hadn't seen. And playing things on harder difficulties sometimes means that you play a little bit differently. You get better at the mechanics of the game. And so feeling like your skill level is pushed forward a little bit, right? And so it was invigorating, right? To go back and do these things and clean up these games and get my completions and feel like sort of a master of my hobby, right? And moving into kind of how that's changed, how things are different, I would say it, in some ways it is still that way, because it is still nice once you get that completion, to just look at it and see all of the achievements that you've gotten and be like, yeah, I really did that game, But in other ways, it feels like a ball and chain a lot of times that keeps me playing things that I don't necessarily want to keep playing, that makes me play things in ways that I don't enjoy, and sometimes actively makes me feel angry or frustrated, which is not why I play video games. I don't pop a game into my console and think, all right, here we go, time to get angry. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, I think, I remember playing through stuff as a kid and getting annoyed with it. It just kind of happens with video games when you hit that wall that you can't get past. You get angry, and you and I just pummel the wall until we get through it. And other people will give up on the game and go and play something else. I remember in Halo Combat Evolved, the final level, I couldn't figure out in my young teenage years how to do the jump without killing myself, because the warthog would flip, I'd fall out, I'd get squashed, or I'd die from the fall damage. And so I didn't play the game for 4 or 5 months, went back to it, completed it. I was like, I've actually completed Halo. This was on easy or normal, nothing amazing, but to me it was I've done that. That's an achievement. Not an achievement as in it had an achievement, but for the fact that I got through something that I thought was hard and got that sense of accomplishment. And I think the trouble now is, and I partially blame the website that we use, TA, is that because you can look at how well other people are doing, looking at their stats and stuff, you tend to feel like you need to step up. Because you and I are competitive. We try not to be, but we are. It's just how it is. And so we tend to look at other people and go, oh, that person's 5,000 gamer score ahead of me. Or this person has got a better completion percentage or a higher ratio, which is how difficult the game is. They have a little math function they use on the website to denote how hard a game is, but it can be skewed, especially with games with gold, where a lot of people play it because it's free, never complete it, and then it pushes the ratio up, making it appear to be harder than it actually should be. Or you look at someone and they have completed a game that you haven't completed, or that you haven't completed yet, and you feel like you should be doing it faster, or that they're better than you in some way, and those things we try to have them not matter, they shouldn't matter. That person's gaming is their own and ours is our own, but the way that website, and I think you're right, the way that website sort of puts everybody in a ranking system, and it's gaming culture too, with leaderboards and where are you on your KD rank and this, that, and the other. It makes you feel like everything is a competition and that you have to do these things and you have to do them in a certain way and in a certain amount of time in order to, quote unquote, be good. And it makes those achievements like, I finished this game that I wasn't sure that I could finish. Just on normal or just on easy, but I finished it and that was a challenge for me. It makes that feel less cool. It makes you feel less good about things like that. And I think that's unfortunate. I think also, for me anyway, before I joined TA, True Achievements, I maybe got 20,000 gamer score a year. I didn't buy that many games. I would play through them a couple of times to get the achievements and then maybe go back and do a different build or whatever, say in like Mass Effect or Skyrim. And then joining TA, you very much get picked up in the momentum of the thing as well. Not necessarily in a bad way, but just for the fact of like, there's a guide for this game, I can do that. Oh, someone's just put a walkthrough up for this other game, I'll do that. Oh, this game's on sale. I wouldn't have known it was on sale because I don't always check the sales on like the Xbox website or whatever where you can find them, but it pops up on TA. This game is 50p. Cool, I'll buy that game. And it just kind of like, the momentum gets behind you and you start like, oh, I had a year where I got 50,000 gamer score. Or I got a year where, you know, I completed 50 games or 60 games, and then the next year, because you've completed a bunch of your backlog, you haven't got as many games on there, and you're like, I feel like I should be doing as well as I did last year. So you look through and you're like, but I only have enough games to say get 36,000, and so you start looking at trash, which are the games that you play to score, to get money. I wish we would get money from our gamer score. I know, right? To get gamer score. Because you feel like you need to compete with yourself. Not even other people. This is the trap I've fallen into. I don't know if Dormouse has or not. But it's like, it's very hard to break. Because you continuously look at yourself and go, I should be doing better. And it's like, why? Are you comparing yourself to other people, or are you doing it because you want to do it? And if you're comparing yourself to other people, does it matter? Are they really that important? Should you not be doing this thing to enjoy what you're doing? And so it comes back to like the enjoyment factor of it, of are you achievement hunting because you want to achievement hunt and you think it's fun, or are you doing it because you want to compare yourself to other people? And I think sometimes we get caught up in, well, I need to get this amount of gamer score because Rob's got this amount of gamer score this month or this year, and it kind of makes you feel less than. Yeah.
Or you look at yourself from previous years and go, man, you know, I had a year where I got 40,000 in that year, or 50,000 or 60,000.
67,000, 2015.
Yeah, I should be doing that or better every year. You know, why am I not doing better?
I tried, and then my Xbox One died, and kind of went, no, we're going to stop you.
Yeah, but
that was funny.
The point is that, you know, you could play a bunch of trash and get that much every year, or, you know, you could get that much in a month if you really wanted to.
You can get 100,000 gamer score just playing rubbish in a month. We've seen it done.
For sure. We have seen it done. Playing absolute garbage that's short. Not that all short games are garbage, but a lot of them are.
Yeah, when you see them having ratings of 0.5 to 1.5, they're trash.
Yeah. But if they're easy trash, or, you know,
or just easy good games.
If the majority of the achievements in there are easy and you're not worried about completions like we are, then, you know, you just fly through, you get as much as you can, you move on to the next short, easy thing. Right? And so, you know, you just fall into all these traps, and it feels like you need to be doing all these things. Well, I need to be getting lots of gamer score, and I also need to be completing all my games, and I also need to be making sure that I get all the DLCs so that I can keep my completions. And I also need to be doing that faster than all of my friends. And it just becomes this ridiculous, competitive, toxic, stressful mindset that I don't think is good for us.
It's a road to self-destruction. I mean, I got diagnosed with dry eye syndrome in 2016, which means that I shouldn't use screens probably as much as I do. But I think that was partially a good thing. Not like it's a good thing to have dry eye syndrome because I have to put eye drops in every 2 hours, but I mean it's a good kind of reality check of, wow, I really do use computers this amount of time during the day. Is that really good for my health? And am I really using that time for quality of time rather than I just sat there for 10 hours on one level on this ridiculously, like Lasso. Let's take Halo 2 Lasso Gravebind. Played it with a friend, we did it legit. Our attempts combined took 24 hours, which I don't think is too bad, but that's on one level, and it's like, was that a quality use of my time? Probably not. Or you get something where you put attempt after attempt after attempt in the same thing. And I think for me, it goes to say, like, sometimes it's good to check whether you're still having fun.
Mm-hmm. And if you aren't overall having fun, like going back to something that you said earlier, it just happens in gaming where you get upset, you get angry, you get frustrated when you sort of hit that wall, or you get to that point where you don't really know how to progress, or you don't know how to do something in the way that they're wanting you to do. And yeah, I think that's true. But I think that those feelings, at least for me, are often fleeting. It's that moment of frustration where you're like, I don't know where this puzzle piece goes, or I don't know where this puzzle piece is. But then when you find the puzzle piece and you put it in, you're like, yeah, nice,
Or you make runs on the same boss over and over again and then realise there was a bonfire up a ladder that was closer the entire time.
Right. So like, there are those moments of frustration where you're doing something difficult, but then you get through it in a reasonable amount of time and you feel accomplished, right, for doing that. But I think there's a difference between challenge, because to me that's overcoming a challenge. It's climbing over that wall that, you have to build up your muscles a little bit to climb over, versus free climbing up a cliff that's, at such an angle that only the top rock climbers, like free climbers in the world, can do, where it's just frustrating.
I think I would use Lasso as a good example, as like when I played with my friend, I had fun. Like, I really enjoyed the experience. It was hard, but we got through it, and I didn't feel like we were like at a point where we were going to fail and not be able to do it. We just would persevere. But then it was like, we played Lasso together, and I think we got through 3 levels on Halo 3. We were at the end of the 3rd level, and then it just crashed. Yep. And we'd been on that level for like 6 hours, and it's like I literally walked into the final door and the game crashed. And it was like, I've just spent 6 hours of my time on that level, and it's like,
and it doesn't save your progress either.
Nope.
So we would have had to start over from the beginning of that level.
And it was just like, I've just spent 6 hours of my time doing that level, and I don't know whether it's going to do the same thing again the next time I do it. So is that attempt going to be a complete waste of time over and over and over again? And so I think it's the point of like you said, are you going to get the gratification out of it when you've done it? Or does it feel like, oh God, I've finally done that thing. I hate it. Never want to do it again.
Yeah. I've finally ground out the 10,000 kills, or the, level grind to 107 times, or whatever the thing requires. I'm looking at you, Gears of War series.
Yeah.
I'm
just thinking about the one edition you and I played together, and then that was the time my Xbox died, and for some reason it saved the tracking on my box, and the save disappeared. And we were 6,000 out of 10,000 kills in.
Yep. So you had to start all over again.
Yep. Seriously, for me, it wasn't 10,000 kills. It was 16,000 kills.
And so, is is it beating your head against a wall and then at the end you have to have some hospitalization?
Or buy a new controller.
Or is it sledgehammering your way through, through the wall in a way that feels gratifying, right? And I think for some people it's different. Some people enjoy certain challenges that we do not, and that's perfectly fine, But I think that there are those things that the majority of people would say is not fun. I don't really know anybody who's done those seriously achievements on the Gears series, particularly the ones from 3 and forward, right? Who would say that that was fun the whole time through.
And I guess for them it might be they only really play Gears, they play with a group of friends, they all play set hours a few nights a week. And so they'll get to those achievements just by playing. I'm talking about like the kill ones, not the ridiculous Iron Man while standing on your head firing your gun with your feet mode.
Yes.
And they'll get the kills and they'll get the stuff. And for them, that's great because they really want a game that they just want to plow hours into and have fun with their friends. But for us, those kind of games just kind of linger and become not fun. And like you said, it's the different mindsets of people. Like some people really enjoy speed running or doing weird challenge modes is it Dark Souls 2 naked with a ladle?
Right, or the no bonfire runs, your no death runs or your no damage runs. Some people really get into that kind of stuff, and that is great for them. Whatever makes you happy is good. But I think we don't enjoy those kinds of things, and honestly, when you have achievements attached to some of that stuff, it feels like it tries to force everybody to enjoy the same things. And I know that isn't accurate because no one is forcing us to get all of the achievements.
And I think what the problem could also be is that we assume that we can get all the achievements and that all achievements should be available to everybody. When I guess really achievements are there to, separate certain skill levels of player.
I mean, are they though? I think that's how
It can be argued that
them.
Maybe that's what achievements are, and so you and I could have a different viewpoint to other people, and so they'll either cater for us and make all the achievements moderately difficult, which we're capable of doing, or they make some of them extremely hard, and so they make it so that only a select number of people will ever get those achievements. And so it's two different mindsets, and if they put it through our way, the people that want a really good challenge lose out. But if they put really good challenges through, then not everybody's going to get them.
Yeah, well, this is my mindset, and this is my argument to that, right? Is that if they made all of the achievements of easy to moderately difficult, skill level, right? Where I'd say it's cool for, those hard difficulty achievements or, certain things that take a little bit longer to perfect or to do, but not the thing that's 1% of people are capable of even accomplishing. Right? Or less than 1% of people are even capable of accomplishing. There's some, I think Kane and Lynch 2 is the one that comes to mind, where it's like a leaderboard achievement, where you have to be top of the leaderboard, and there are these people who have hacked the game so that they're at the top all the time. And
no, what they do is they go back.
They were extorting... They were extorting money from people or whatever to get them those achievements or whatnot. Anyway, my point is not to talk about that. My point was that they have some things that are in there that it seems like it's meant for only a few people to ever be able to accomplish. And my viewpoint is those leaderboards are there regardless of whether there's an achievement attached to it or not. If you enjoy being at the top of the leaderboard, you would enjoy it whether there is an achievement attached to it or not. The achievement is just, secondary to that, right? It's like the people who it's very important to them to have a certain KD percentage in multiplayer, or to be in a certain tier level, to be in, platinum tier or diamond tier or whatever. And they're going to do that regardless of whether there's an achievement attached to it. If there's an achievement attached to it, it's like, okay, cool. But they're going to do that anyway, and that's what's gratifying to them. So whether there's an achievement or not, those people win as long as those game modes or multiplayer, tracking systems or whatever exist. But it's not going to be fun for me if I have to achieve diamond status in a game.
Right. And so I guess it comes back to my point of what audience are they catering for with achievements? Are they catering for... And I think it's also... you and I have a certain skill level at which we're at, so we're capable of doing, certain things above the average gamer.
Right.
And so it's very difficult, I think, to put achievements in to cater for the lowest level on every game.
For sure. No, I agree with that. That's why I think, those moderate or even difficult challenges, I think, are okay. But it's those extremely hard ones. It's the extremely long or extremely difficult things that really bother me, existing as a thing, because number one, half the time the mechanics of the game don't support that level of perfection. And it pisses me off because they expect me to be perfect and yet their game is not. So, Max Payne 3, I'm looking at you. But why do they feel the need to cater to that sliver of people? When you take people like us, or people maybe who are of a lower skill level than us, would be happier with things and probably more likely to purchase their games if things were not that way, right? So like, I've gone off of Gears games. I played the campaign of Gears 5 on an alternate account, and it was alright. But there's no way that I'm gonna do all of that nonsense because I just don't have that much time to pour into that game. It's not that anything I think is unachievable for me in terms of difficulty. It's that the time that it would require for me to spend on it, I'm not willing to spend. And they continue to add even more to it through updates and things. And so, it's stuff like that where it's like, why are you catering to these people where it's only this small percentage of people that even want to do that? And if it didn't exist as an achievement, they would still do it because that's what they find fun. So it's catering to people who would already do something to the detriment of people who don't want to do that. Does that make sense? Where it's like, here's something extra, for the people who would get gratification out of this anyway, and yet we are actually making a larger percentage of our consumer base frustrated.
I think it depends what the developers want. Do the developers want their achievements to be obtainable by the vast majority of people? Then they'll do it the way that we enjoy having achievements. Or do they want the Gears model, which is only a very select number of people are going to get these achievements, and that's who we're catering for? And I don't think either of those are wrong. I just think that you and I need to look out for the games that have those kind of stupid things on them and not play them.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
We do.
Yeah, exactly.
We do, and we have.
And I was going to say before about Deus Ex. Deus Ex Mankind Divided had a mode in it where you needed to complete the game with no deaths. Like, if you died, it would delete your save. And I found that mode not too bad. because you and I are fairly adept at stealthing our way through those kind of games, so I didn't find that too difficult. The thing that I really didn't like was the tacked-on microtransaction game. They patched it a little bit afterwards and made it a little bit easier to complete, but it just was a time sink, it wasn't fun, and I was like, I really don't know why this is part of the game, and I really didn't enjoy that part of it. But other people may really enjoy the tacked-on, time-consuming microtransaction part of the game and completely fail at making it through with no deaths, and I guess it's just a different perspective for different people. Also, the majority of people that buy games don't care about achievements.
Right, and don't care, specifically don't care about completing their games and getting all of the achievements, and that's just a very small subset of us, you know. And so I think you're right, like it's about the mindset of the developer and whether or not they, like, what they want those things to represent. You know, and it's clear that not all developers have the same outlook as I do, where, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily agree that something should be achievable by the vast majority of people, because the vast majority of people don't even complete games. You know, they don't even complete the campaign.
What I was meaning in that context was the vast majority of the people that would go for the achievements.
Yeah, I guess that
not
that
the
makes
vast
sense.
majority of people that would buy the game. Sorry, I wasn't specific enough. Like,
yeah,
what I mean is, out of our group of people, the people that hunt for achievements, there's some games where the vast majority of people will just get all the achievements just by playing through the game, like, you know, Walking Dead, for example.
Yeah,
the majority of
the Telltale game,
ones,
right?
Yeah. You just play the game, get all the achievements. Pretty much on the majority of those games, there's only like one or two where you have to split decision stuff. But it's like, do you want that for every game, or do you want it to be like, let's say Dark Souls, for example? The vast majority of people don't complete Dark Souls, probably.
Yeah.
Or they'll do one playthrough and then they won't get the like Knights Honor trophy or the Dark Soul because they won't get all of the achievements. But I mean, thinking like the Miracles and Pyromancies and stuff.
Right.
Whereas for us, that felt like a good challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because there's so many different types of people, and what is difficult for one person is not for another. Like, we were just talking about Banjo-Kazooie the other day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
and I was saying that I remember... I haven't played it recently.
In comparison to ukulele.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an unfair comparison because I haven't played it in a few years, and I don't think you have either. But I recently played ukulele, and I was like, you know, the controls on this game are so much better than Banjo-Kazooie. I remember Banjo-Kazooie actively being irritating for me in some places, you know, just with the movement and the camera and trying to see what it was that I was doing, and the precision of the controls to me just wasn't great. You know, it was doable. I completed the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that... I'm not saying that it was like this uber challenge of doom, but I remember that game being frustrating in certain places because of the mechanics of the game. And, you know, and I said, you know, other than a couple of spots, I think ukulele was much better in terms of its design and control setup and all of that kind of stuff. And you said you disagreed with that.
I didn't say that the ukulele was any better than Banjo-Kazooie from my like memory of the game. Mm-hmm. I think there's like one or two places in ukulele that I found difficult, and there was one or two places in Banjo-Kazooie that I found difficult, but in my brain, the control scheme for them didn't feel any different. But I have played Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, so that might colour me a little bit with that having the updated like control scheme. So, but for the original Banjo-Kazooies, I didn't really find a problem with the like platforming and camera or anything.
Mm-hmm. Whereas I did. right?
I think the only place that stands out in my head in Banjo-Kazooie that was bad was the damn engine room in Rusty Bucket Bay, where you had to try and run through the fans to get some of the notes. That's probably one of the worst bits of platforming in that game for me.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has sort of a different experience because we're better at and worse at different things. And to some degree that's to do with skill, and to some degree that's to do with preference.
Yeah, I think I'm better
at
doing things faster than you are.
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
Like,
I'm slow as fuck. I am like a geriatric person when it comes to quickness and trying to play through things. It's just not something that I'm good at. But and so to your point, I guess trying to cater to so many different types of people is difficult for these people, especially when achievements are often probably an afterthought for a lot of them. It's kind of this last thing, and the people who are developing the game aren't probably even necessarily the ones that are putting the achievements on. I don't really know how that works and how they're coded in, but I would imagine that that's not something that they necessarily have in their mind as they're making the games.
Yeah. I guess that also comes down to the developers, because I think the achievements for like Gears, especially with Seriously, are kind of part of the culture of that game.
Right.
Not really for Halo. I guess like the legendary runs. Mm-hmm. People like to do.
Right.
I was just thinking about like Deus Ex and the microtransactions and stuff, and I think, going way back to the beginning of how I feel like gaming's changed, I definitely think microtransactions have, for a fact, microtransactions have become far more prevalent in more modern games. Because you get the free-to-play ones where you basically plow your own money in to get loot and stuff. And I would also say that the vast majority of games that we play now have DLCs, especially like AAA, and I say that in air quotes, AAA titles.
Right.
And so I think from when I never played online and only really bought story DLC, that was fine because I'd never buy something that required like multiplayer or an online connection and stuff. Whereas I think now there's a lot more multiplayer like DLCs, or I guess I play more multiplayer DLCs because I have internet, because I didn't get a wireless Xbox until 2012, so I had until like October, November 2012, so I had 2 years where I just played offline. So that's why I have like 50,000, 30,000 gamer score offline. On my Xbox 360 games, it just says achievement unlocked offline, and there's no date stamp. And so I think it's definitely become more prevalent for games to have like game passes, and it's expected that they'll have DLC. And so that model makes me apprehensive about starting certain games, especially seeing what certain developers have done with their DLCs, like GTA 5, and adding heists that you have to do in hard mode without anybody dying and such, and the connections are not great, and some people's progress won't track properly, and it just worries me that I'm going to get a game like that on my tag and then I'm either not going to be able to complete it, because I have all the games that I own completed except for 3 FIFA games which the servers no longer exist for. So it's not my skill that has not enabled me to get the achievements, but it's the fact that they're unobtainable completely to anybody at this stage. And so I definitely feel like that colours my opinions on games and whether I'll buy a game or whether I'll wait for a game to go on sale or have been out for over a year, so that I know that all of the DLCs are out, I can check the achievements, and it's a little bit of paranoia. And that's one thing I will give PlayStation credit for. Platinum trophies. is a little something that just pops up saying, you've completed the game. Oh, I don't need to buy all those rubbish DLCs, I can just buy the 2 that I want to play.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. It's DLCs, and I think you also worry about, will this game have an unobtainable, or will the DLC break it so that it makes it so that I can't get this thing? And I think that kind of pushes you to, if you start a game, that you want to complete it as quickly as possible because, you don't want something to happen in between starting and finishing that causes it to go wonky or something, right?
I think that's a little bit less prevalent than it used to be, thankfully, because most of the games don't break as much as they used to. Like, I know the Master Chief Collection kept breaking achievements, and I had to wait for some map rotation on gears, so I think it's more the online multiplayer side of things that bothers me.
Yeah,
but
although
some
single player stuff has broken stuff too.
Yep, I remember Darksiders Definitive Edition had a broken achievement for a really long time, and then it got fixed, and I had Game Pass for like a month, and so I was like, right, I'm going to play that game before they break it again, because those Darksiders games are notorious for having unobtainable achievements, like pop in and out, and in and out, and in and out.
Yeah, it's so weird how that happens sometimes, and like, I think another thing that helps with that is that
I don't really play multiplayer games.
Well, that you don't really play multiplayer games anymore, and also that they often fix things. Like Ori and the Will of the Wisps came out recently, and its achievements were broken at first. Yeah, they fixed them, I do believe.
Nice. I may consider getting the game then.
And so, they do tend to fix things now, whereas in the past they may not have, because I think, you say that the majority of people don't care about achievements, but I don't know that that's 100% true. I think that the majority of people don't care about achievements in the same way that we do.
They don't care about 100% completions, but I guess maybe they care about like story achievements or like a difficulty achievement,
Or their gamer score. And so if they were supposed to get an achievement for something, they want to have it.
Right.
So I think a lot of people are aware of their trophies or their achievements and their, gamer score or their PlayStation, whatever the heck the ranking system is on there.
Level?
Their amalgamation of how many trophies they've got. I think a lot of people do see that stuff and care about those things. And so, like you said, they may not care about completing a game, a 100% completion percentage, or maybe even platinuming the game. But I think people do pay attention to, hey, I got this achievement for this thing, So, I don't know. I think they still have them on there for reasons. And if it was only a very small percentage of people that gave a damn about the achievements and trophies at all, then they probably wouldn't have gained the traction that they have.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, there's a certain level of appreciation for achievements at whatever level of gaming you're at, like super casual, or like, I like to get the majority of the achievements, but I hate collectibles, so I don't do those. Kind of deal.
Or I hate multiplayer, so I don't do those.
Yeah.
Or I don't like to play things on the hardest difficulty. I just play through it on normal, and I get all the achievements there. And, then I don't do anything else. Or I do one run, and I get as much as I can on that one run, and then I'm done. So, I think, like you said, there's different levels of appreciation and different levels of caring about certain things. But I think, as you said before, sort of moving back to, how things have changed, I think the industry has changed. You see more and more of these DLCs and microtransactions. You see more of the title updates and things that get added that add irritating achievements or trophies onto things. I think it's fairly common that you see some of the most frustrating things to obtain added in a title update or in DLC. And that's frustrating for me. I think there's also been these trends of you have to have at least one really hardcore achievement or trophy on there. And whether or not that one really hardcore thing is something that I personally would consider to be a good challenge versus a frustrating, nonsensical endeavor is down to the person. But I think that there seems to be more and more games that come out that have something like that in them, that have something like that, No Deaths Run on Deus Ex, which, as you said, we didn't find frustrating. It was fairly enjoyable. It was a little bit stressful because you're always like, yep, when you go into a section.
It's like quickly
but it was
run
manageable.
over the electric beams before they reactivate and insta-kill you.
Nearly blow yourself up in a window. But, so more and more things have something like that, where it's like a no-death run or uber crazy realistic difficulty, quote unquote.
Or a speed run.
Or a speed run, or something like that, I would say that has become more prevalent than it used to be. And I think it makes me more wary. And I think, as you said, our achievement percentages and the number of things that we've completed makes us not want to engage with things that we think are not going to be fun to complete. Right?
Yes.
And so that really shapes kind of how we think about when do we buy things, when do we play things, what things do we play, that sort of thing. And it makes me feel, I think sometimes, like I'm missing out on certain things, and I've gotten into more recently where I'm like, if there's something that I just want to play, like Gears of War 5, I wanted to play the story of that because the story actually has some interest to me. But I didn't want to put that game on my tag because I didn't want to commit myself to, 6 more years of playing Gears of War 5.
Right.
And so I just played it on my alternate account, and I played through the story, and I tried to get a couple of the achievements, where it was like get 3 things in one type of attack or one type of, area of effect thing. I tried to go for some of those because it was fun to see what I could do just during the campaign during one playthrough. But that was all that I wanted to do on there. And I had Games Pass, and I might have gone back and played it on Insane if I actually, owned the game, and yeah, I might pick it up at some point to do that, and just to replay through the story before the 6th game comes out. But I don't want to do that on my main, but I didn't want to feel like I was missing out on it either, and I think that, that's a nice, I guess, compromise, at least for me, where I can still have the experience of something without having to feel like it's shackled to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely get that feeling. I think I'm at the stage, I'm approaching 400,000 gamer score. I'm like at 375. And, I'm in my 30s now, and sort of looking back at a retrospective of 10 years of achievement hunting, it's like, I don't know if I want to be as avid an achievement hunter as I used to be. And so I think, working out more like what I want from gaming rather than what I feel like I should be doing needs to come into like effect rather than trying to plow through as I always have done. It will be nice to like only have a few games that I've bought to play. It would be nice to go back and play some other games that I really enjoy that I haven't got time to play because I'm always achievement hunting. It would be nice to have more time to watch a couple of channels on YouTube that I always seem to be behind on, or read a book, or watch some movies, or a TV show. Because when you game at the level that we try to, it just eats the majority of your social time. And it would be nice to maybe have more of a balance, but it's very hard to kick old habits, especially ones that are a decade old at this stage. And it would be nice to go and play some more games on PlayStation, get some platinums, not have to worry about DLCs. And like looking forward to the new consoles, I probably won't get an Xbox Series X. That's the new one, right? Or a PlayStation 5, which is so much easier to say.
I know, right?
This year. Like, I probably won't get it in the first year of release because I still have my Xbox One games that I'm working on, and I have a backlog of games on my PlayStation that I want to play. Oh, and also, social-wise, we like playing D&D as well, and trying to work that into our, social time with how much time it takes to actually do anything meaningful becomes more difficult the more time we game. And it's just, it gets to the stage of, am I still having fun, or is this just becoming stressful, and am I only doing this because this is what I've always done?
Right, and am I plowing through things because I feel like, as you said, I should be moving on to the next thing? Or am I doing that because that's what I really want to do? And with having a limited amount of time, it makes it very hard, because gaming is something that it's a time-consuming hobby. It is. And even more so when you're a completionist, right?
Well, even from non-gaming people's point of view with technology, my mother she doesn't game or anything, but she'll like sit down to Google something and check her bank account, and she'll be like, wow, that was computer time. That's 2 hours gone by in like no time at all. It feels like you've been sat down for half an hour. So even to people that don't game, the amount of time that technology takes from you, and you feel like you haven't got much done. You've been gaming for 6 hours. I've barely got through like a level and a half. How have I been gaming for 6 hours?
Right? Or I've just done a couple of quests. How is this possible? So, I think just trying to achieve a little bit more balance. I don't think we're ever going to 100% stop achievement hunting or trophy hunting. I just don't. It's just such a part of us, and
well, it's also how we met as well. It's like it's a positive in my mind of if we can enjoy what we're doing, and we met through this hobby, and I want it to continue because we both really still enjoy playing games together, like Dark Souls, which you have recorded of us doing the remaster, which needs to be released at some point shortly, hopefully.
Yep.
So that will be nice. There may also be some footage from my end.
Yeah, if I can get those edited in a way that showcases both of our sides, that would be cool. And so, I think I still really enjoy gaming, and I still really enjoy achievement hunting, and it's just trying to balance it all, right? Because we both have jobs that have nothing to do with gaming. This is 100% a hobby for us. And we have other things, like you said, that we enjoy doing. We like watching shows, we like watching YouTube, we like reading, we like playing Dungeons and Dragons, we like
movies.
I like playing with my cat, you know,
Yeah.
who has been so good throughout this whole recording.
Is he still in his box?
He is. He's in his box, and he's so cute, and I love him so much. But, you know, so we have other things that we enjoy doing, and just trying to make it feel like 100% of our time is not eaten up by games, and at least for me, that the majority of that time is time that I'm enjoying, and not time where I'm feeling frustrated or time where I'm feeling like I have to be playing something because it's going to take 600 hours in order to get it done.
Agreed. More balance, more fun. And also, as another little, like, add-on or whatever, I found that a lot of the, like, indie games that we've played over the last couple of years have actually been really good, and they're not super long, and sometimes they feel better than the AAA titles that are like bigged up to be these amazing things, and then they just turn out to be like the same again, just reskinned type deal.
Right.
And so it's kind
this time with a worse story.
Yeah. Looking at you, Borderlands 3. And so like something like Ashen that you and I played co-op together. Not a AAA title, probably about 25 hours long, but really fun. And I've been enjoying that, like, section of gaming that's the 20 to 30 hour mark, where you feel like you've got your money's worth out of the game, but you've not spent an age playing it like it's taken a month of your life. Although, there are a few games that I will allow to take a month of my life. Witcher, Skyrim, the Mass Effect trilogy, Andromeda can go wander off on its own somewhere.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a small number of AAA titles that are really appealing to me, and I would agree, like, I've had just as much, if not more fun with some of those shorter, more independent titles than I have with some of the major releases of recent years, you know? And I think it's just, for me, I'm trying to be a little bit choosier about what I'm playing and what I'm spending my time on, both from a perspective of Gears of War 5 is going to take, you know, forever, and I remember how much time, because I completed Gears of War 4.
I know. And that was like a year and a half or 2 years later.
Oh, no. I think that was like 4 years later.
Okay, we'll double my estimate on the time.
I mean, I can check that while we're talking. But, and that's all of the title updates and DLC.
The Master Chief
And
Collection was longer. Though technically they had a DLC that was like 4.5 to 5 years after the release.
Yes.
Which was fun.
But here, let's take a look at you, Gears of War 4. So the first achievement that I got in Gears of War 4 was October 12th, 2016. Which is probably when it released, or shortly thereafter.
Shortly thereafter. I didn't think it was quite 4 years.
Yeah, it released October 11th, so it was the day after it released. And then the last thing that I got, I believe, was Classy. Upgraded all skill cards.
You can also, if you're looking on TA, you can look at the top and it'll tell you what date you completed it.
That's true. I completed the game on the 21st of July 2019, so it was not quite 3 years, so we were both wrong.
I said 2 to 2.5 years, so actually I was right.
It tells me that it took me 580 hours and 43 minutes to complete. Whether that's accurate or not, it's probably about.
Now here's the thing. I will quite happily plow hours into a game I really enjoy, like Destiny 1, that is now sat at over 2,500 hours. But I've enjoyed the majority of the time I've spent in that, whereas Gears for you...
Yeah, like I enjoyed some of that time. I really enjoyed playing with some of the people that I met.
Especially Horde, right?
Playing that game. Playing the Horde mode with some people. Doing some of that. Doing some of the co-op campaigns and stuff like that. It was fun. Because I was playing with other people, though, it's not that the game was fun for that long. It was just the company that made it fun, really. And
I think that's also why like Halo Reach was fun for us, because Reach we hadn't played for a while, with it coming out as DLC for the Master Chief Collection, and it was just like something else to do together, because sometimes we struggled to find co-op games.
And so, you know, for that purpose, if you can find something that you're really interested in, that you enjoy doing, that other people enjoy doing, and you can play that with other people and get social time that way, I think that that's cool. And I suppose that if the achievements hadn't been there, I may not have met those people and formed those relationships. And so, you know...
Well, we wouldn't
you can say what you will.
No, exist.
We wouldn't. And so I guess you can say that for some of those long, you know, multiplayer or co-op achievements, is that they do
bring people together.
Encourage people to form relationships with one another, and they do kind of lend themselves to that social time. But I don't know that it needed to be 580 hours worth.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, exactly, yeah. It's like when something eats that amount of time and you feel like maybe 50% at best was fun, then...
Right.
No.
And I will say, none of that time was spent, you know, playing multiplayer for fun. Right? Like, some of that time was spent playing the campaign for fun, and some of that time was spent doing Horde that was fun. But none of that time was doing multiplayer for fun.
No.
Right? And so, you know, and to be fair to it, the multiplayer stuff wasn't that huge of a component of it. There were some things, but, you know, not a ton. And not a ton that took a tremendous amount of time from what I remember. I think it was mostly... for that one, it was the randomized card packs that fed their microtransaction stuff that really destroyed that game. Because they wanted you to continue to play and play and play and play and play and play and play, so that you would, you know, break down and spend some more money on buying some of those packs to get the cards that you needed for the achievements. And that is really one of the major reasons why I'm not going to play or purchase Gears 5. I played it while I had Games Pass, and it was free to me. So that I hate that business model, and I hate that they preyed upon a portion of the community who cares about those achievements in order to try to push those microtransactions. I think that that's so sleazy.
Yes.
And that's one of the main reasons. Yeah, the Coalition is a corporation in the same way that EA is a corporation. You know, and I get they have to make money, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to be sleazy about it, you know? And so, you know, that I'm just not going to support that kind of business model. And while they continue to tie things to that and to want me to pour hundreds of hours of my time in or pay them hundreds of more dollars, I'm not going to support that business model. I think that it's not good. So, in conclusion,
yes,
I think we want to have more fun with our things, not feel like we are spending our time wastefully, you know, and feel good about what we are doing instead of feeling resigned, I think, is the word that I feel when I'm doing something like Gears or something where I feel like it's more frustrating than challenging. It just feels like I'm resigned to having to do that rather than enjoying the process and enjoying the outcome, you know? And where, like you said, you have that feeling when you're finished of, oh, thank goodness I never have to do that again, versus, I did that. I overcame that challenge. I could do that again, or I could show someone else how to do that, right? Which is exciting.
Yes.
And to me, what marks, for me personally, the difference between challenge and frustration or, tedium.
Yeah. I think for me, in conclusion, I want to have good quality fun time achievement hunting. I also want to play a bit less to be able to do a bit more outside of gaming and be able to go back and play some old games that I really enjoy that I've just put off for so long, or play some PlayStation. Like last year I hit my backlog really hard. I got 3,000 gamer score every month, finished the year with 50,000 gamer score. And this year I'm just like, no, I think I've earned a little bit of a break. And try not to measure myself so much against other people, but measure myself against my own expectations of what I want out of gaming. And I think approaching 400,000 gamer score, I don't know as the number means as much anymore. Just to I need to keep increasing the number of games I've played, the number of completions I have, the number of gamer score I have, and just be like, what games do I feel like I want to play? Well, there's only 5 of those. Cool, that means I'll only get 5,000 gamer score over the next 3 months. That's fine, because I'll have played games that I wanted to play, enjoyed them, and not feel stressed or obligated just to play for the sake of playing.
Yeah. Yep, I think, similarly, I want to try to get through the backlog of games that I have, which is shortening. I've significantly hit that over the past few years on my Xbox. I definitely have a larger number on my PlayStation that I hope to get to soon. And I'm just looking to get through some of those things, as you said, go back and play some older things again that I just haven't felt like I had time to do because I needed to be pushing forward with the things that I had purchased. And just really try to keep it fun, and this year so far has been pretty fun. We might have to do another one of these where we talk about some of the highlights of things that we've enjoyed.
Yeah, that would be cool.
In recent times.
Maybe like our top 10 or top 20 games that we've played over the last 2 years.
Yeah, something like that. And really, talk a little bit more about that. But I've really enjoyed things significantly this year, and I felt like I've hit a decent stride with it, and I think I've actively been looking for falling into those negative patterns of, just being super frustrated with something, or feeling like I'm wasting my time, or comparing myself to other people, or trying to hit some sort of benchmark that I've set for myself that is too high of an expectation given, the amount of time and or skill that I have. And really tried to actively be noticing those things and working against them. When I notice, okay, Dormouse, you're getting into that mindset again, really trying to avoid that. And so I think it's just, at least for me right now, just a lot of being diligent about that and trying to keep myself from falling back into negative patterns.
I will second that. Attempt not to fall back into negative patterns.
Yeah. So, yay gaming, and moving forward, What's your next game that's on your list that you're going to be playing?
Slime Rancher.
Nice.
Kind of midway through.
Yeah, you're kind of midway through that one. That's very cool. I think the next game that I'm going to play, and this is dictated a little bit by a challenge that we're doing over on True Achievements, that we've put some games in on. I think the next one I'm going to do is that Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments game.
Nice.
I played The Devil's Daughter a while ago, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, that one was on Games Pass, I think, because that's where I played it.
Yeah, and the Crimes and Punishments one is one that I got from Games with Gold a long time ago and hadn't played, and I'm starting to go back and play some of those things that have just been sitting there, and I think that is the next one that I'm going to do. So hopefully that'll be a nice, fun little story-driven mystery puzzle adventure thing.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. What is Slime Rancher?
It's like a management game where you like hunt. It's got a bit of story to it, but it's basically you like hunt down different slimes and try and make money off of the like little crystals that they drop when you feed them.
Is it Viva Pinata-esque?
Kind of.
Okay.
In a broad sense. Where it's like you basically have a garden / area where you grow stuff, so you have to like, if you feed them their favourite food, they drop 2 of the plot crystal things, and you get a certain amount of money for selling different ones, and you have to go to different areas to find different slimes, and there's like an achievement for completing the Slimepedia, which is like you find every different like kind of food, every different slime in the world. So that's my ultimate goal.
Very nice. Finding all the slimes in the world.
Yes.
Most of them work at EA.
And the Coalition.
And the Coalition. That is certainly not true. There are many slimier people, I think.
Agreed.
Than those. But anyway.
It made for a good joke.
It did. It made for a good joke. So I think that's all that we had for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you feel about achievement hunting, and, you know, whether it's changed for you guys over the years, whether you're at kind of the beginning of your achievement hunting journey and it's still new and exciting, or whether you're an old
veteran
hat like us and a veteran like us. We have our battle scars of things that we've done.
10-year service medal and
you know, we're closing in on retirement.
Like a semi-retirement.
Yeah, no, we're never going to totally retire until our hands fall off. And at that point, they're going to have ways
Microsoft
that you can play without...
And achievements are no longer a thing, or our accounts become corrupted, and it's like, cool, well...
Right. Cheers. Yeah, you know. So whether you're veterans like us, or whether you are new to the game, you know, let us know what you think about it, what you think about some of the things that we brought up, you know. A lot of it is truly a matter of opinion, you know. Agreed. And I don't suggest that my opinion is any more valid than, you know, yours, Iron Praetorian, or anybody else's. You know, it's just...
Yeah, and vice versa from me.
And so I'm just interested to hear where everybody's at and what everybody thinks and what people want to hear from us. You know, we'll find something to ramble about for an hour or more, clearly.
Closing in on an hour and a half,
Yep. And so, you know, let us know what you want us to talk about, if anything. And if you don't want to hear anything from us, too bad, because we're probably still going to be talking. So, thank you guys for listening. It's good to be back doing these again. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.